all of us as normal people. This is not like, oh, this is going to be a big problem just for Wall Street. This is an issue for ourselves. Because once the debt limit, once we go past that debt limit, then what happens is that we stop Medicare, on Social Security checks, on SNAP, WIC, EBT, on any sort of federally, there could be consequences for it. Federal programs and services. The number one driver of the US debt are the Trump and Bush tax cuts. Period. Period. There is no, if you want to even out that math, you have to repeal the tax cuts on yachts and private jets that they authorized in 2017. Has the potential to become disruptive, which is why the debt limit has never been negotiated. This is why we do not do this. Democrats approve it under Trump. We approve it. What Republicans are doing in this negotiation is that they're saying it's about one thing, but what it's really about is about punishing the poor and working class people in the United States. And so put some of those cuts on the table, put revenue raisers on the table, and make sure that we strengthen the president's hand in doing this. So, and the political landscape of what's happening is that Kevin McCarthy does not have the votes to negotiate.
Second most in the United States. You're trying to go to war against Russia, and you're saying, oh, they're spending so much on the military.
You gave out white slips, boy.
Thank you. So,
thank God for Biden and NATO.
To make these cuts. On top of that, it's really important to talk about how nonsensical what they're proposing is. Because if this actually was about debt reduction or reducing spending, the things that they're actually proposing don't reduce spending at all. What they're asking for is to introduce something known as work requirements for food and other kinds of social programs. First of all, these are some of the critical issues. So even when you actually implement, and when you look at the debt and the cost, quote unquote, cost savings of introducing further work requirements, you get the assessment of that, and you have these big organizations and the CBO and believe that we're going to get progress here. And I do believe that the more involved everyday people are with their representation and making sure that they're engaged and calling and saying, pass this thing without any cuts to critical programs, the further along we can get. And so people have started organizing around that, and it's really, really wonderful to get the input from you all into our office as well. And we have people saying, let us hire them. Now the problem is that federal policy is getting in the way. And currently, if you come to this country as an asylee, you have to wait almost a year in order to be allowed to have work authorization. And because of that long tail that prevents people from coming and just starting to get to work right away, we are getting people that are not capable of supporting themselves economically, which people want to work, people want to put them to work. We need this. And many of us have experienced the consequences of the labor shortage that we currently have. Services are slower, it may take us longer to get things, we have seen an erosion in the quality of many services, and a lot of that is crank, because the data is there and this is necessary. These are honest people, these are honest employers, these are small businesses, and this is what our economy relies on. And in fact, if you compare the US economy to other developing economies that are experiencing stagnation, what you are seeing is that the difference between their challenges. I was just in Japan and South Korea in February on a congressional delegation trip, visiting and discussing with my legislative counterparts over there on issues like trade and so on. And they are experiencing a population crisis. Seniors in Japan, the population of seniors in Japan have far outweighed the population of young people. People are not having families, people are not having kids. And there are many other issues around around this. I'd be happy to discuss it in the Q&A, but I wanted to share with you all the specific point that we've been really pursuing and leading on, because lawmaking is a team sport, as many people know, and so this is the one issue that we've really been drilling down on, because we know that once we can let people work, they are turning that land over to the community. And so what that means is that whenever there comes a day where they may want